From our studio here in Freetown, hello and welcome to the National News Bulletin here on Star TV Channel 21. I am Warabai Kamara. First, the headline. Nigerians in Diaspora Organization has honored the newly inaugurated Executive Council at an impressive dinner held on Saturday, the 6th of July 2019 at the Bintu Mani Hall in Freetown.
We call on everyone to join us to reposition and showcase the Nigerian brand, as well as explore opportunities for Nigerians and Nigerian entities in Sierra Leone.
The Director of Legal Affairs Financial Intelligence Unit, lawyer Abdallah Sise, has said that the country stands to benefit hugely from its international investment portfolio, given the favorable outcome of the mutual evaluation process.
Experts from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Senegal, from other countries that are members of JABA, and some other international partners, to just come and see how far we have gone in implementing these preventive measures of money laundering and terrorism financing.
As a way to flag awareness on the high index of inequalities, Oxfam, in partnership with the Movement Against Inequality Sierra Leone, have joined the world over to launch the Commitment to Reducing Inequality Index.
A clear majority of the country's citizens are denied the most essential elements of dignified life, like access to quality education, health care, and decent jobs.
The Prison Watch Sierra Leone, with support from UNDP, has engaged female inmates on a livelihood skill training support project. The exhibition ceremony attracted officials from the Sierra Leone Correctional Services.
We will focus now for ensuring anybody with the behind bars, once we don't see the opportunity for you not get freedom, but you right for be respected. Your dignity as much amount for be respected.
All this, including sports, will be part of the news. And now for the news in detail. Nigerians in Diaspora Organization has honored their newly inaugurated Executive Council at an impressive dinner held on Saturday, 6th of July 2019 at the Bintu Mani Hall in Freetown. George Elliott Sam has more in our report.
Representing His Excellency the President, retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Nabina Fedilia Tunis, recalled several times when Nigerians rendered aid to Sierra Leone, describing the event as a special day for both countries as it marks another milestone in strengthening the existing bilateral and cordial relationship between the two countries. She further assured Nigerian in Diaspora Organization of the Sierra Leone's government support in making sure that the Nigerian in Diaspora Organization succeed in their adventures.
It's a bond that has transcended so many things. I recall several instances where the Nigerians have come to our aid as Sierra Leoneans. They've been with us through thick and thin, and we certainly do appreciate all your support over the past couple of years, especially during the difficult times. Government is willing to collaborate with the Nigerian diaspora, and we're willing to support the diaspora on areas of mutual interest. As stated earlier, I do recall several instances where Nigeria has provided support to Sierra Leone, and we remain deeply grateful. We have nurtured a relationship over the past couple of years. And most of us, most Sierra Leoneans, do have some very strong ties to the Nigerian community.
Newly appointed president of the Nigerian in Diaspora Organization Sierra Leone chapter, Abiodun Oyibola, in his presidential message said the federal government of Nigeria has developed a platform for the engagement of Nigeria living in different countries across the world by establishing the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NICOM, through an act of the Nigeria Parliament in July 2017.
The Nigerian Diaspora Organization was formed in 2001, and the NIDO Commission was established by the Act of Nigerian Parliament and signed into law in July 2017 to serve as the umbrella body to coordinate and harness the tremendous skills, expertise, and knowledge base of Nigerians resident outside of Sierra Leone, with a view to promoting multilateral and socio-economic development of Nigeria and host nations across the world.
The Commission has achieved multiple success stories right from inception, one of which, he said, for which they gathered at the Bintumani Hotel in Freetown. President Oyebola maintained that NIDO Sierra Leone wished to acknowledge and appreciate the good people and government of Sierra Leone for providing them with an enabling environment to express their full potentials as Nigerians in their various fields of endeavor.
Today, we call on everyone to join us to reposition and showcase the Nigerian brand, as well as explore opportunities for Nigerians and Nigerian entities in Sierra Leone to tap into the new and emerging economic growth opportunities, fair and beneficial corporate relationship between Nigerians and the good people of Sierra Leone. Fellow Nigerians, I claim your indulgence and unity to build a Nigerian community in Sierra Leone that we will all be proud of. A community that will harmonize the wisdom and astuteness of the professionals without leaving out the aspirations of our youth and the wisdom of our elders.
Nigeria High Commissioner to the Republic of Sierra Leone, His Excellency Dr. Abis Ibrahim Ubada, in his keynote address, said, Nigerian in Diaspora Organization is not just an organization, but also a movement to reposition themselves in their various countries of representation, stressing that a movement also to tell the world that Nigerians have come of age.
On my arrival and assumption of duty as Nigeria's High Commissioner to the Republic of Sierra Leone, I made a policy to operate an open door policy, and through this, it was priority for us to the High Commission to look at the issues being faced by Nigerians living in Sierra Leone more closely and seriously too. 2 years down the line, I think bold to say that we have succeeded in mobilizing and uniting the Nigerians living in Sierra Leone. We are poised to protect in positive light the good people that we are, and to promote our great and loving country, Nigeria. We are also launching our Nigerian Sierra Leone Chambers of Commerce, a platform that will open the horizon of businesses for both countries. There are ongoing plans to organize the first ever Nigerian Trade Fair here in Freetown.
The colorful ceremony saw performance from different tribes of the Nigerian community in Sierra Leone. For Star News in Freetown, I am George Elliott Sam reporting.
The Director of Legal Affairs Financial Intelligence Unit, lawyer Abdallah Sise, has said that the country stands to benefit hugely from its international investment portfolio, given the favorable outcome of the mutual evaluation process. He spoke to Abdurrahman Kamara in this interview when he visited our studios.
First of all, we have to know that we are a member state of the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, and it is summarized in the acronym JABA. JABA is a French acronym. I hope you will not ask me to speak French.
I will not.
And we're a member of that organization, and it is meant to coordinate, to combine efforts in the battle against money laundering and also terrorism financing, and to ensure that member states implement fully or comply with the FATF recommendations, FATF 40 consolidated recommendations on the prevention of money laundering and terrorism financing, especially that which has to do with reporting entities. So the mutual evaluation simply means experts from member states on a periodic basis carry out an assessment of how far a country has gone in implementing the preventive measures against money laundering and terrorism financing. I mean, using FATF recommendations as a benchmark. A number of countries have been assessed, and this year is for Sierra Leone to be assessed by our peers. It's a kind of a peer review mechanism to see how far we have gone in technical compliance as well as effective compliance. That's basically what mutual evaluation means. Self-assessment is actually a bit different, right? Self-assessment, you do it internally for the consumption of the local authorities or the national authorities. But this one now is actually a provision under Articles 13 and 14 of the JABA statute revised in 2012 to ensure that countries are assessed, by their peers. You have experts from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Senegal, from other countries that are members of JABA, and some other international partners to just come and see how far we have gone in implementing these preventive measures of money laundering and terrorism financing. The FIU is not a one-stop shop, because the AML-CFT regime, the anti-money laundering and counter-financing of terrorism regime, is a multi-stakeholder project, right? You have a lot of other institutions that must play their own role effectively for us to succeed. You have the police, you have the law officers department, you have the anti-corruption commission, you have the CISU, the Central Intelligence and Security Unit, and all other security, intelligence, and law enforcement agencies in the country must play their own role effectively. So when we combine our effort together, we're going to produce a result. FIU is actually, by its nature, is a coordinating body. It's there to coordinate the efforts of other law enforcement agencies. We are the national correspondent. The director of FIU is the national correspondent who actually responds to international queries on what is going on within the anti-money laundering and counter-financing of terrorism regime in Sierra Leone. So you'll have to report on progress, what happens in not only within the FIU, but what happens in other entities, law enforcement agencies, vis-a-vis the preventive measures to money laundering and terrorism financing. The essence of the assessment essentially is to know what not only the FIU, but what other law enforcement entities have done, how far they have gone, or how far they have played their role to make sure that this regime is effective. That is the essence of the assessment. It's a national assessment. It's not limited within the FIU, but other law enforcement agencies will be contacted, they will be visited, they will be even visiting other reporting entities to see how far our efforts combined together have produced results with respect to AML-CFT. Essentially, the mutual evaluation looks for two things, basically, just two. They will look for technical compliance and effective compliance. Technical compliance is going to look at the legal structure, the legal regime. We have the laws do we have the laws in place? Do we have the administrative structures in place to make sure that the regime works? That's what is called technical compliance. Because if you don't have the law, essentially you cannot work properly. So you're going to look at our laws, the laws we have, whether these laws are robust enough or they are sufficient to have, a results-oriented AML-CFT regime. That is technical compliance. That's what they're coming to look for. The second ambit of it is what you call effective compliance. Effective compliance simply means now you have the laws, you have these administrative structures, but where are the results? Have you implemented? Because there's a difference between having a law and having it being implemented. You can have a law if you don't enforce it. you don't implement it, it is as good as anything on paper. So that's a very important aspect they will be looking at, and see whether we have the laws first. Second, whether this law that we have are actually being enforced or implemented in practice.
You're still watching the National News Bulletin here on Star TV. And now, as a way to flag awareness on the high index of inequalities, Oxfam, in partnership with the Movement Against Inequality Sierra Leone, have joined the world over to launch the commitment to reducing inequality index. The launching was done at the Initiative for Good Governance Conference Hall in Aberdeen in Freetown. Let's have more on that.
As a way of raising awareness on the high index of inequalities, Oxfam, in partnership with Movement Against Inequality Sierra Leone, have joined the world over to launch the commitment to reducing inequality index at a ceremony organized at the Initiative for Good Governance Conference Hall on Aberdeen Road in Freetown. The first ever commitment to reducing inequality index regional report that was launched in 2017 focuses on public spending, taxation and labor markets as the three important pillars, ranking African governments as the least committed to reduce inequalities in the continent. According to several reports, as the poorest continent, Africa is also one of the most unequal, with some of the most extreme divides between rich and poor, noting that inequalities is at a crisis level in West Africa. Going through a press release, Nuruddin, the influencing coordinator at Oxfam, said the importance of the gathering is to raise awareness after conducting surveys from over 157 countries, rounding up the relevance of fighting to reducing inequalities and at the same time reducing poverty, emphasizing that inequalities and poverty are intertwined.
Inequality is at crisis level in Sierra Leone, yet the government is less committed to reducing inequality than the rest of the continent, based on the studies. While a small but great group becomes fantastically rich, a clear majority of the country's citizens are denied the most essential elements of dignified life, like access to quality education, health care, and decent jobs. This index reveals that Sierra Leone government is exacerbating inequality by underfunding public services, such as health, care, and education. It also shows that Sierra Leone government is underfunding the agriculture sector on the one hand, while undertaxing corporations and the wealthy, and failing to clamp down on tax evasion, tax avoidance, and corruption on the other.
Presenting a 5-minute documentary on different statistics of survey done by Oxfam, Charles Lahai, the chairman of Movement Against Inequality Sierra Leone, puts to light that Goal 10 of the Sustainable Development Goal talks about reducing inequalities across the world, noting that it compels governments and countries to strongly fight inequalities. Senegal and Sierra Leone, he disclosed, are making progress in fulfilling the global commitments.
To see West Africa emerge as the most equal region in Africa by 2030. And in that light, it is expected that ECOWAS will play a leading role to serve as an example to the rest of the continent and the world that inequality can be curbed only when governments are committed. For our own purpose, we are partnering with Oxfam, and therefore the specific objectives and activities will ring around supporting Oxfam's country change goal as well as MISA's strategic focus to address inequalities in Sierra Leone for improved access and quality essential services in education and other areas that has to do with poor and marginalized communities.
Kalilu Tutange, the chairman, National Council of Civic Education and Development, elaborates on their strives to combating the societal menace by inaugurating the Open Government Partnership as a pillar that seeks to engage citizens on government issues and implored government to be more transparent and accountable with a view of creating policies for development. Importantly, the chairman underscored the importance of the issue of land rights and women's access to land for agricultural purposes.
In a way, engage citizens around the issues of governance of their country, and to also engage government, to encourage government to be more transparent and accountable with a view of creating holistic development for society. That's why my institution, the National Council for Civic Education, has another key component to which is development, and I like to stress on that issue very much.
With the high rates of inequality, one would suggest that radically increasing the commitment to reduce inequality, the crisis is likely to worsen. As per reports, Cape Verde, Mauritania, and Senegal are the three most West African countries to reducing inequality, and on the other hand, the least committed West African countries to reducing inequality are Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Niger. For Star News in Freetown, Hassan Koroma reporting.
The Prison Watch Sierra Leone, with support from UNDP, has engaged female inmates on a livelihood skill training support project. The exhibition ceremony attracted officials from the Sierra Leone Correctional Services. Here's the report.
The Prison Watch Sierra Leone, with support from UNDP, don't engage inmates on a livelihood skill training support project. The exhibition ceremony attracts officials from the Sierra Leone Correctional Service and UNDP. John Lansana Koka from Prison Watch Sierra Leone say the United Nations Development Program in partnership with Prison Watch Sierra Leone don dey work together for ensure say they improve on the lives of inmates in detention, and then focus na for ensure say the dignity of human beings are respected despite them dey in a detention facility.
Project where the United Nations Development Program in partnership with Prison Watch Sierra Leone don't fetch for do for ensure say we increase the life of the woman they are when they come in detention. We will focus now for ensure say anybody with the behind bars, once we don't see the opportunity for you not get freedom, but you right for be respected. Your dignity as much a man for be respected. And when you can, you know for come for nothing.
The Deputy Director General Sierra Leone Correctional Service, Dennis Aman, where he been dey talk about the project, say female inmates then don't receive training on business entrepreneur skills. A further talk say some of the inmates then don't they generate small couple out of the project, and where then done then jail time, then go get them bank ID.
But all of these training where we try for teaching now, they go hand in hand with business and entrepreneurial skills. So that SSSF will teach some of the small business here, they manage them to an extent that they can become very rich women in the not too distant future. Just like our one past speaker they say, we don't train female inmates then now where some of them, whilst then they serve sentence, then they pay school fee for them picking them out of their job where they do. Each of the inmates then, when we open with money from UNDP, will be 1,350,000 over 12 months when we pay into their account. So each of the inmates will get 1,350,000 when I see money from UNDP. But we don't give UNDP will say for sustain this project, we encourage the female and male inmates that waiting under this project, and the one that we know even did it for whatever money when they get, let them not utilize all whilst they serve their sentence, but let them pay some into their account. Because when they will get for discharge, then getting kind of money, then we will use that money either for open business or even for rentals. I mean, for making their life comfortable.
One of the beneficiary and inmates na the Sierra Leone Female Correctional Center na in statement, it a plenty thank you to Prison Watch Sierra Leone and UNDP for provide them with a livelihood skill support project.
Yes. Another prison. When you take a good look at me, never survive the prison. I don't want the room. Now with the help of the back, we want to say thank you, especially to UNDP. UNDP don't have to do for to make it possible. This want to make people left out. Want to make people feel like a single mortal man.
For Star News, Sadomba Mathieu.
And now let's join our sports correspondent Hilton John for some sporting update.
Sierra Leone has been placed in a pot 3 ahead of the qualifying draws for the 33rd edition of the African Cup of Nations in Cameroon 2021.
The qualifiers are scheduled to begin in October, with the draw to be held in Cairo on July 18. Football Sierra Leone understand. Leone Stars are alongside Madagascar, Zimbabwe, Central African Republic, Namibia, Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, Angola, Malawi, Togo, Sudan, Tanzania, which implies they can face any of those teams in the qualifiers. Host nation Cameroon are in pot 1 with Senegal, Tunisia, Nigeria, Morocco, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ghana, Egypt, Burkina Faso, Mali, Ivory Coast, and Nigeria. Meanwhile, the 8 pot 5 teams will be drawn into 4 preliminary rounds. The winners of the 2-leg ties advance to the next stage, as scheduled to be in pot 4. In stage 2, there will be 12 groups comprised of 1 team from pot 1 to pot 4, and the section winners and runner-up qualify for the finals in Cameroon, with the tournament host already guarantee a place, with only 1 team to qualify from that group. For Star TV Sports in Freetown, I am Milton John reporting.
Thank you very much, Hilton John, for that sporting update. And that's all in a national news bulletin 5 of the hour here on Star TV Channel 21. I am Warabai Kamara, and thanks for watching.